The first time the alien woman arrived in the settlement of Epsilon 7, the air itself seemed to tremble. Her ship descended silently, like a black shard cutting through the dusty sky, leaving the colonists frozen in a mixture of awe and terror. She emerged, her towering figure draped in silvery armor that shimmered like liquid moonlight. Her eyes, an unsettling violet that seemed to pierce the soul, swept over the settlement, and whispers spread like wildfire. "She's here to destroy us," one miner muttered. "They say entire colonies disappeared when she passed through," another added, trembling. Fear was the currency of Epsilon 7 that day. Every adult, every child, every automated guard station trembled at her presence. Yet, amidst the widespread panic, one human stood apart, Private Cale Soren. Cale had been assigned to Epsilon 7 as part of the Security Corps, a unit responsible for overseeing the scattered human colonies on the frontier planets. He was neither exceptionally brave nor particularly reckless, at least that's what everyone assumed, but he carried a quiet curiosity that no fear could easily suppress. While others cowered in bunkers or fired warning shots at the approaching figure, Cale walked toward her, boots crunching on the red dust of the settlement. The alien woman noticed him immediately. Her lips parted in what might have been a smile or a warning. "You are unafraid," she said, her voice musical yet sharp, like wind over crystal. "I have questions," Cale replied evenly, stopping a mere 10 meters from her. "Why are you here? Why the colonies?" The other humans were aghast. To confront her directly was unheard of. Even the settlement's command center trembled, unsure whether to send reinforcements or accept that Cale had already sealed his fate. "I am Lyris," she said. "I come not to conquer, but to observe. You humans, you are curious, unlike the others. You do not run. You do not scream." Cale raised an eyebrow. "And you're okay with that?" Lyris tilted her head, and for the first time, the colonists noticed a certain softness in her movements, like the sway of a willow in a storm. "I find it interesting. Humans are often weak. You're not. You do not fear knowledge." That night, Cale stayed on the settlement's rooftop, observing her from a distance as she moved silently among the mining domes, scanning, touching, and recording. He realized she wasn't leaving destruction in her wake. She was learning, cataloging, understanding. And slowly, his suspicion grew into understanding. The next morning, a distress call arrived from the mining outpost 2 kilometers to the east. A landslide had trapped dozens of colonists beneath rock and debris. The Security Corps scrambled, but Cale made a decision that surprised everyone. He ran directly toward Lyris, calling her name. "You will help them," Cale said, urgency threading his words. "They're alive. You can save them." Lyris looked at him, her violet eyes narrowing. "Why should I?" "Because you can," Cale said, his voice steady. "Because no one else will act fast enough. And because sometimes doing what is right matters more than fear." For a heartbeat, the alien woman hesitated. Then, without warning, she leaped, swift, silent, and terrifyingly graceful, toward the outpost. Cale followed, guiding her toward the trapped miners. When they arrived, Lyris assessed the situation with horrifying precision. She placed her hands on the rock wall, and with a resonating hum that vibrated through the ground, the boulders shifted effortlessly, creating a path to safety. The miners scrambled out, wide-eyed, shouting in relief. Cale stayed beside her as the last miner emerged. "You see," he said softly, "fear doesn't solve anything. Courage does." The colonists who witnessed the rescue were stunned. The same woman they had whispered about in terror had just saved lives without a single casualty. Murmurs began to spread. First disbelief, then awe, and finally respect. Over the following weeks, Kale and Lyris worked together. While the Human Security Corps remained cautious, Kale's willingness to trust and understand her became the bridge that allowed cooperation between human and alien. He discovered that Lyris's people had been wandering the galaxy for centuries, cataloging intelligent life, and Epsilon 7 had been their first true encounter with humans who exhibited curiosity and tenacity in equal measure. One evening, as they watched the sun dip behind the jagged mountains of the red planet, Lyris spoke again. "You're kind, you are relentless in ways I did not expect. Fragile, yet persistent. Afraid, yet brave. It is fascinating." Kale smiled faintly. "That's humans for you. Fear is part of the package, but it's never the end of the story." She regarded him with a strange intensity. "You are different. Perhaps that is why I have stayed." "You mean why you haven't left, or why you haven't destroyed anyone?" Kale asked. "Both," Lyris admitted. "I find value in your presence. I find challenge in your nature." It was then Kale realized something extraordinary. While the galaxy feared her, while stories of her prowess and merciless efficiency had traveled light years, he had managed something no one else had. He had seen her not as a weapon or a terror, but as a being capable of choice, empathy, and cooperation. When other colonies reported sightings of Lyris in distant star systems, the tales were the same: fear, awe, whispers of destruction. But in Epsilon 7, the story changed. The tale became one of hope, a story that spread throughout human settlements like wildfire. There is an alien who could have destroyed us all, yet one human stood unafraid, and together they turned fear into protection. Kale Soren never claimed heroism. He didn't seek recognition. But the colonists who saw him stand tall, who saw him face the alien without trembling, told his story for generations. And somewhere among the stars, Lyris watched humans grow, her violet eyes always returning to the one who had dared to step forward when everyone else had fled. In the end, it wasn't her power that defined her. It was his courage. And sometimes, in a galaxy full of fear, that made all the difference.